Hi, FlossTube friends. Welcome to episode 2 of the Stitchfolk Podcast. Today is August 2nd of 2022, and I suspect this video will go up on August 3rd of 2022. It's been 2 weeks since my first episode, and it's been a whirlwind of deliciousness. Thank you so much for your lovely comments and inquiries. I'm just over the moon about the whole experience. I was very nervous going into it, and still a little nervous. But what I realized is what I imagine when I'm talking to you is that I'm actually talking to you instead of just talking to the camera. That really helped last time. So for those that are nervous about doing this, if I can do it, you can do it. And what I realized is if you were here, it would be really easy to go over everything I'm going to show you and talk to you about my experiences and what I love. And the difference is I can't ask you a question and get an immediate answer. But what I also realized is it's not about you seeing me. It's really about seeing myself. And I think that's what we're not used to. And yeah, because we go outside and see people all the time. We go to, not conventions, but retreats and gatherings, and don't even question talking in front of somebody. But watching it back on our own, can be a little unnerving, and I understand that. Still is. Checking my hair. Do I have lipstick on? Yeah, so, but if you're inclined to do a FlossTube video or start your FlossTube channel, I encourage you to, because it's just been fantastic. So thank you, and thank you to those lovely ladies who have FlossTube channels that have mentioned this channel. Specifically, the ones I know of are Carol, Saltbox Stitcher, and then Brenda and Laura, and of Brenda and the Serial Starter. So I really thank you, and they know I love them. So anyway, what I'm going to talk about today is what I've stitched on in the last 2 weeks, and my birthday start, a birthday start that I did with my friend Grace, whose birthday is tomorrow. We started on the midpoint between our birthdays, and so my birthday start, that start, and then another one that is part of a stitch along that is on Instagram. I have some pieces that I've finished in the past 2 years since I've started stitching. I just have a few pieces. I have a few other things that I have underway. They're my whips and that I haven't shown you yet. I was asked to talk about how I stitch, and I have little information on that. I have a few things that I got for my birthday, and one thing I bought for myself. I have a couple of quilt kits that I'd like to show you, and I think that's it. So anyway, you may notice a different backdrop from last week. This is kind of I used to sew in this room. It's only 6.5 by 8 feet. I have made a lot of bags in this room, so it's really tiny. It's just off of a hallway in our house at the top of it's off of a landing. But we bought some bookcases. My husband put them together, and all the bolts started coming out of closets and behind my cutting table, and it was really awesome to see them in one place. I have more bolts, but these are the ones that I will pull from. Down here, mainly, how do you do there? Those are mainly my fabrics I use for lining, or will use for lining. That varies quite a bit. Up here are a lot of fabrics from the Threads That Bind line by Blackbird Designs. On this side is mainly French General with a little die Ford and a couple of other ones mixed in at the end. And over here is Overflow of Threads That Bind. I'm using a lot of that right now. I'm making a lot of bags right now. Specifically, let me address that. If you do have a tomato bag that you've ordered. If you've ordered a tomato bag, you'll be getting a tomato bag. I did all the applique first, and it took a long time. So thank you for your patience. I still have the time before they need to be shipped, but it's a lot of people, and I'm really grateful. But it's a lot of piles of tomatoes, and so now I'm in the assembly process. So you will start to see shipping notices happen this week. So anyway, thank you for those. I'm going to show you some things that I have stitched on in the last couple of years, but I haven't actually touched in the last couple months. I have a couple of things here. So the first one is the Red Bird Sampler by Blackbird Designs. I know we're all familiar with this beautiful, not Blackbird Designs, Brenda Gervais. So, thank you for affording me my flubs. There'll be more, I can guarantee it. So, Red Bird Sampler. I'm stitching this with the called for colors, and I have to look at my tag to see what I'm stitching it on. I'm just glad I left the tag on here. It's Lakeside 36 count Meadow Rue by Lakeside, vintage Meadow Rue. And I maybe should get back to this because I've gotten quite a bit done. Let me get this organized here. How about, I deal with fabric all the time. You think maybe I could fold it straight. So there we go. So I am in front of an open window, and I realize it's actually casting quite some shadows. I may have to work my setting out here though. Anyway, I'm very pleased with it. I don't stitch much on 36 count. I actually have two things that I am stitching on in 36 count. I'm finding I really like it. 40 count seems to be where I head first. 46 count I'm really happy with. But this 36 count is pretty cool. So back in, I believe March, maybe April, my husband and I went up to Boise, Idaho he had a surgical procedure that he needed to do. And I knew my plan was to stitch on one project. And it was our 12th anniversary this year. So I chose Forever and Ever by Brenda Gervais again. Those colors are just, I love her borders. I love her colors. So while we were up there, I got this, and I don't know what I'm stitching on. It's 40 count something. It's a nice weight. Geez Louise. So there we go. So I apologize for these shadows. I'm not quite sure how to fix them yet. But yeah, I got quite a bit done while he was going through that process and then recovering. I think we were there for like 5 or 6 days. And I am using the called for colors with that. So I'm quite thrilled with those. Anyway, that's Brenda Gervais' Forever and Ever. And good. So what I'm going to show you next is what I've worked on in the last 2 weeks. They're in one of my birthday presents. I'm going to show you birthday presents next. So one of my, probably one of my original customers, and she's been a very loyal customer. She's bought a bag or two from me, let me say. So she sent me this little envelope, and I opened it with excitement, and then in it was, don't open this till your birthday. So I waited until my birthday, and she stitched a little, is it in focus? She stitched this for me with my name on it, and on the back, happy birthday. And it's just absolutely darling with the red and white baker's twine to hang. So I immediately put it on my over my cutting table is a arc, well, kind of an arc lamp, and there's a perfect spot for it to hang right there. So that's where I put it. And then from Miss Laura of Brenda and the Cereal Starter, she sent me a pin cushion. So I'm a redhead originally, and I see a redhead little girl with a big piece of cake. So perfect birthday pin cushion. This is by Dolls and Their Girls on Etsy. I will put a link below because I know how to put a link, so I'm going to do that. I was asked if I would, show people where they can get what I'm showing. So for most of the things, yes, I can. So anyway, I absolutely adore this. And I love knowing that Laura has the same one. Cool beans. So my friend Kelly, who I might have mentioned once or twice, or 40 times, maybe even 50, he made me 2 project bags. Right now I have projects in them because that's how it is. So the first one, a tomato bag with Ohio. So he lives in Ohio. I have 2 daughters in Ohio. And we are probably going to move there at some point. So if not Ohio, somewhere near. It's just not, we're not going to stay in California. I was born and raised here, but we're not going to stay here. And anyway, this is my Ohio tomato bag with the cardinal and the tomatoes on it. And then he stitched in wool this tomato, and he used 2 vintage buttons from, I believe, his mother's button box, or her sewing box. So those are family buttons. And I'll show you what's in that in just a little bit. And then the other one, I eat an avocado every day. It's often on black beans, or that's what I'm having today, or it's, lately I've been mashing it with some garlic salt on a rice cake with, it's by Quaker Oats, and it's like everything flavored rice cake. It's so good with garlic salt and tomato. And anyway, he made an avocado bag for me. And he's, as long as he's known me and as long as I've known me, I've been a red and white polka dot fan. So there's my avocado bag. And also in there is a birthday start. So the thing that I bought myself is a brooch, of all things. I'm not really a jewelry wearer. This is actually a by 5 Times Blessed, I believe. This is what are they called? A needle minder. It's a needle minder with my initial on it. But I bought a brooch by her name is Jill Schwartz, and this just thrilled me. I have my eye on a couple of other pieces by her. It's a little heavy for what I'm wearing right now, or most of what I wear. It really kind of needs to be on a coat. I'm pretty sure I'm going to put it on a project bag when I go to summer school. But, oh, there we go. Anyway, it's just not coat weather, but it's going to go on a coat at some point. But absolutely love this. So I got other things for my birthday. I got one of the things I had been really wanting was I have a LeCreuset enameled cast iron Dutch oven that we've had since we got married. And so for 12 years, 2 or 3 times a week, well, at least 2 times a week, I use it. I always use it. I'm always cooking something in it, but I've wanted a brazier. So I got a beautiful braiser skillet, LeCreuset. It's absolutely gorgeous. So, so the next thing, I'm going to show you what I have worked on in these past 2 weeks. And then I'm going to show you some things I actually finished. So, the piece that we started on the 28th that I started with Grace is Rachel Howells by the Scarlet House. So I am stitching this on 40 count Alcott by Linen and Flax, and I'm using the called for NPI floss. So I've got that top, this is the top left corner, got a flower done, and oh, this fabric is, it's just got a little green tint to it. stitching on this fabric is just an absolute pleasure. Maybe you can see the green better. Yeah, I think I can see a little bit better back here. And then I'm going to show you something that I have in the works, but this is how I'm keeping my silk. I'm using the NPI, but as much as I love NPI, I like it on floss drops, but I don't really want to keep it in a bag because it's easiest to use it when it's just out and available. But when I put it in a bag, I don't want it to get tangled or fray at the ends. So I've made a sleeve for it. This I'm calling the Stitchfolk Silk Saver, and they'll be coming. So what it is it's open at one end, it's open at the other end, but it snaps, and it snaps into your ring. So it keeps it in one place. And then when I want to use it, I unsnap it, and then I pull it out in the direction that pull it out in that direction. And then, they just feel so good. And then when I want to put it away, I just put my hand in the top, and then I can pull them up and then snap them in place. What I like about this, aside from that it will keep your silks from tangling, it would work for cottons as well, is that also if I want to fold it, it will do a gentle curve if I need to fit it in the bag, and if it doesn't fit in, it fits in this bag unfolded, but if I needed to, it creates a gentle curve for your silk instead of having it be bent on itself. So coming to a website near you, some probably in September, is the Stitchfolk Silk Saver. So anyway, I keep that in my avocado bag because it's delicious, and this fabric has a green tint to it. That's not why I'm keeping it there. I'm keeping it in there because I love it. So in my Ohio tomato bag, I have my actual on my birthday start. So I'm started this with Kelly, and this is Winter Rose Manor. I showed you that I was going to start this last week, or 2 weeks ago. I changed the fabric that I decided to do it on. Changed the fabric that I was doing it on. I decided to go with a darker fabric. So this is 40 count vintage cedar plank by Lakeside. And I got, boy, I do need to get something to put behind things. I will do that by my next video. So I got the border all the way around and some of the flowers. And then I also started the snow and the trees on the bottom. I did make 2 changes. I'm doing the snow in eggshell instead of roasted or toasted marshmallow, I'm using eggshell. And instead of conch, by Classic Colorworks, and then instead of conch, I am using cherub by Weeks Dye Works, and I'm using that because I like pink, and I wanted it probably not. That's pretty close actually. Yeah, I wanted a pink house. I want a pink house. So that is Winter Rose Manor. And then I wanted to do this, and then I thought, oh, I just don't have time. But does that really stop us? It does not. So I decided to start Jane Summers' work. Lisa Kindred Stitcher and Lori Wilson of Thread Milk Designs. They and somebody else, and probably more somebody else's, have started a sal for this. So the stitch along, I believe, is called Jane Summers 1831, or Jane Summers Works Sal, or Jane Summers Sal. I will figure out what it is and put the hashtag down below. If I know how to put words across here, I will do it there. So I think I could probably work that out. So that is Jane Summers' work by Shakespeare's Peddler. And I am stitching this on 40 count vintage straw flower by Lakeside Linens. And I've got a corner underway. So I am doing this in the called for over dyed. So that is my corner. That's the upper left hand corner. That is right here. So not a whole lot done. But these are the colors, and I'm pretty happy with these kind of colors. There we go. So vintage straw flower it does have almost a little pink tone to it, or blush, I guess. But I thought it looked very close to what's in the chart itself. It's not the called for fabric, but I am using the called for floss. So those are the 3 things that I started since the last time I saw you. And one of the things I mentioned on my first video was my red sampler that I have underway. And it's Louise Coolamore by Hands Across the Sea. So here's the chart. And I'm stitching this on 40 count hog bristle by Fox and Rabbit. And I'm using, one second, I'm using Gloriana Schoolhouse Red. Gloriana Schoolhouse Red is, well, as you probably all know, kind of an awesome red. And so this is my progress on Louise Coolamore. Those curly cues, oh, love a curly cue. I have not done very many alphabets, but they're so satisfying to sit down and go, okay, I'm gonna do 2 letters. Yeah, I'm really enjoying this. So I feel like cross stitch is kind of like a buffet for me. I was asked by somebody, why do I have so many starts? Partly, I think, because I'm new, and finishing, I am interested in finishing things, but it's not as important to me as kind of like I want to taste everything. So I'm in my tasting phase. I'm gonna take a drink of my tea real quick wherever I put it. And next I'm going to show you some things that I have actually finished. Only one is fully finished. I have a few things that I have fully finished, but I don't actually own them. I've given them away. So the first one I'm going to show you is, we did this, I believe, for Martin Luther King's, around Martin Luther King's birthday. And my friend Kelly charted this. I know that it's 40 count. I don't know what else. I have a feeling that I used the colors from, it's a Blackbird chart that is, it's in Ooh La La. Oh, I should probably get that out. I actually have quite a bit done on that too. But those are the colors that are in this particular, the Ooh La La chart. So I believe that's what I used there. So the time is always right to do what's right. Words to live by. So that was charted by my friend Kelly. And then one that I finished, this is to say this is the second biggest thing I finished. This is Tiny Treetops Rose in Time by Blackbird Designs. And I stitched this on 40 count vintage, 40 count Heartland by Picture This Plus. I actually wrote on it so I could remember it. So I don't even know what to do with it. Frame it, make a drum. I have never made a drum. I think that would be a fun thing to do. I could make a drum out of that. I've got what I need. I know how to thread a needle. Oh, you know what? I like it in the camera too. Yeah. Oh, those colors. So one of the first things the first thing I actually stitched was October of 2020, because I started stitching in September. So I believe I finished this in like November. Kelly and I did my first stitch along was Fancy Blacket and the Perfect Pumpkin. Here's the chart. Fancy Blacket. Love those scissors. Love her pumpkins. Yeah, to me this was like so much stitching. I had never done, that just was, it took me so long. But now that's what I thought at the time. Now I know what really, everything takes me a long time. Not a fast stitcher, and I will talk about that in just a minute. So another thing that Kelly and I did was a stitch along using the chart, A Sheltering Tree. Friendship is a Sheltering Tree. And Kelly discovered that it completely can be cut in half, not cut in half, but you can draw a line from top to bottom, right down the middle, and it's almost equal side to side. A little different, there's differences in the design, but, and this is by All Through the Night, Folk Art Designs. Anyway, so what we decided to do was we would each stitch the left side of the chart with the rabbits and our choice of floss. We agreed to have flosses that were compatible. And then we sent the piece to the other to stitch the right side of the chart. And so let me show you. It's pretty tiny, but this is our completed piece. So I stitched in the more green and brown tones, and then Kelly does this beautiful, it's kind of got some gray green and purple, and I really need to frame this. You know what, I just haven't put my initials down here. He put his initials. I haven't signed it. So that's next. I will frame this. I will probably frame it myself. I would love to have this up on my wall. This is really, probably the most special thing that I have right now in my stitching. I absolutely was thrilled with that. So the biggest thing I finished, sorry I keep bending down. I've got to work out how to work in this space here. Last summer school, I saw this chart and might have gasped just a little bit. And when I was looking at it, the person who did that piece said, I have the chart. When I get it, or she had loaned it out. When she got it back, she's happy to loan it to me, to which I gasped again. And it was Birds of a Feather by Blackbird Designs. And this is, I would have to go look at my Instagram to find out what I stitched it on. I just know, I don't know what I stitched it on. I apologize. But I did stitch it with the called for NPI. This was so fun, so fun. The colors, those birds, that border, every little space, there's something new to stitch in. The border has just got all kinds of little detail. It's not repeatable. It just is interesting the entire way. And then those flowers, I mean, really, so beautiful. And having it out, of course, brings me to, I want to get that framed. That I won't frame myself. I'll send that off. So one of the other things I wanted to talk about is how I stitch. I have tried everything. I've tried in hand, which is okay. I wasn't crazy about how it felt to do that. And I didn't feel, at least initially, that my tension was consistent. I have tried Q-snaps that I'm not a fan of, partly just the size and the weight. And I have a Lowry stand. I have a couple different types of scroll rods. I have Omonic scroll rods, which are really heavy, but those would go, I got those for the Lowry. I've tried a couple of different hoops. Anyway, early in my stitching career, I found a queen hoop at the Disabled American Veterans, and it was $4. And I'm going to show it to you. It's a 6-inch queen hoop. So I have been using this almost daily for almost 2 years. I found it very early, and the only reason I even knew what it was, I didn't really understand the value of it, but I knew what it was because of Brenda the Serial Starter. Her tour, in one of her tours of her downstairs stitching room, she mentioned her queen hoops in her collection. So keep looking in your thrift stores. I have a 6-inch queen hoop, so I've been using that consistently. I was fortunate to do a trade with a good friend that I traded bags for 2 more queen hoops. So I not only have the 6, but I have the 4 and the 5, and I use them all. It just depends on where I am in my project. This feels wonderful. I'm not saying it's just because it's a queen hoop. I love that these have been through someone's hands. The colors on them are, you know, like they've been around. There's some life in these, but they hold the fabric taut. It stays taut. Yeah, I will stitch on these for the rest of my stitching life. The other one that I do use is this Duchess hoop that I found. I don't even remember. I think it came in a lot. I did order a lot of vintage sewing supplies because I saw that there was a queen hoop in it, not one that I have here. But it also had a couple of Duchess hoops, and this one, this size, this holds things tight. This holds fabric tighter than anything. I mean, it's just almost, I worry that it's gonna damage something. It's an alligator hoop. It just clamps on and won't let go. But anyway, this one is fantastic. So I didn't know for sure that lot that I bid on had that. I didn't know positively that it was a queen hoop. It didn't really show the disc, but I thought it was because I couldn't see the disc, but I knew that what was holding the disc on was these, and I was just hoping that it was indeed a queen hoop, and it was. And so my friend Kelly, who had been on the hunt for a long time, he got a queen hoop recently, well, a little while ago. The last thing is that I have stitching or related I bought 2 things. I bought 3 things. I bought 2 things. No, I bought fabric, and then I bought a LeHay's box. So this stays by my, yeah, is it upside down? Nope. Anyway, Robert LeHay, I have a few of his boxes. I'm on his mailing list, or I'm on the company mailing list. And once in a while, a mailing list will come out that there is in stock, ready to ship stuff. So this size is just ideal by where I stitch. So I keep my, whatever I'm using, you know, everything but the project goes in here. And I absolutely love this type of red. And it's gorgeous, and I love it. And my hoops stay in there. The other things that I got are 2 pieces of fabric from Linen and Flax. This is a testament to order and it will come. It won't come right away, which is fantastic because I love that Rachel's work is everywhere. Yeah, she's sending out, I mean, she's limited, all the dyers are limited to how much fabric they can get, or certain counts that they just can't obtain right now. But I actually had forgotten that I ordered these, and it's been a long time, which you don't order fabric when you need it. You order it long before you need it. So this is a fat half of 46 count Alcott. probably a little greener than, it's not as green as my shirt, but it's greener than it should. Well, there we go. And then this gorgeous piece of Thornfield, also 46 count. Her mottling is just, oh, scrumptious, absolutely scrumptious. I don't have a plan for those, but gotta have them in your stash. Gotta have them there. I want to talk a little bit about bags, and then I'm going to show you 2 quilt kits that I'd really like to get to at some point. I will get to them at some point. Once I tone a little bit of bag making down, although kind of scratched, I even said that. I don't know how that's going to happen. I may have to hire help at this point. So when I'm working on bags, I kind of go, I have blinders on, and I work on will just work on that one thing until I'm done. It's easy for me to kind of disappear from social media. I happily and easily can work from early morning, early-ish, 8 o'clock or so, until 8 at night. I love it. I absolutely love doing it. That totally cuts into my stitching time. But people have placed orders and they are expecting bags. And so partly my motivation is got to get them a bag, obviously. But I love the process. I love the applique. There's hundreds of bags right now. So hundreds. So once I'm done with the tomato bags, and once I come back also from summer school, I'm kind of don't know exactly what I'm going to do, but there will be bags available to purchase within a few weeks of me coming home. So I need to balance doing these large orders where it's kind of an open order, where you can have this space of time. You're not having to battle for a spot or an empty cart, or you put something in your cart and it's gone. I do like that a lot because it's a calm way to be able to get a Stitchfolk bag. The downside is it takes me out of the game for a while because I don't have a system in place where I can find a balance there. It's just me. I source the fabric, I stock the fabric, the batting, the zippers, the thread. I clean the sewing machine. I do all the cutting. The cutting and ironing is almost half the work of the bag. It's a lot of prep work before the actual sewing, but it's that prep work that makes the sewing and the finishing nice, really nice. Yeah, it's all, for me, that's what I have found. And then I do the listing. If there's invoicing, that's done. Then I do the packaging, the label making, printing postage, and it all takes a lot of time, but I can do it all. So what I have to figure out is how to also build this website. I do have a platform that I'm putting it on. I have to kind of relearn every time I get on the computer. I don't feel like I retain a whole lot. So I appreciate your patience with my store being empty. My goal is that not only will my bags be in there, and things like the Silk Saver, Floss Keeps. I would really like to do some floss rings, and I have a couple of other plans. I have a couple of other bag types that I'd like to do. For things that aren't sewn, I have a daughter that will definitely pitch in and do some of that with me. And I'm considering having a few things that I don't make in my shop that coordinate and go well with what I do have. I don't have any examples right here for you, but I have some ideas. But what I am very aware that my shop is empty, and I'm really aware that I'd like to have things in my shop. So anyway, enough shop talk, and I'm going to show you 2 quilts that I would like to get to someday, even if it's just a block a week. Part of it is I sew in a very small space, not this tiny, but pretty tiny. And switching projects means cleaning everything else off, which I can do. I just often don't. So anyway, I'm going to show you 2 quilts that I got. I think, oh no, one of these is from Country Sampler, and this one, and if I can find, I will put the link below. What drew me is the fabric. This is actually a very super simple table topper, but it was these fabrics. Let me show you these fabrics. And you know, you've seen how they package their stitch, you know, their cross stitch kits. They package their quilting kits just as beautifully. So these are just, they thrill me. And I wouldn't put it on a table likely, I would put it on the wall. But that is called Under the Sun, and it's available at the Country Sampler, Spring Green. Then the other one, I know we've seen some people working on this. I believe Olivia, Pumpkin Hollow Quilts, is Block Bonanza. The fabric line is Rose, and it, all of a sudden, oh, Joe Morton, I was gonna say a different name. So Joe Morton is the designer. But again, it's those colors. Oh, those colors show me. And this would be, you know, a couple blocks a month maybe. But again, it's these fabrics that thrill me. So they're just the way they all work together to create what, in that blue background. So all these taupey brown and rose colors on that blue background. Fabric thrills me. What can I say? I'm happy for it. So anyway, if you have any questions about fabric behind me or anything I've talked about, please feel free to email me or send me a message on Instagram. I'm still finding my way through this. Editing, that's also the fun part. So there has to be a little bit of editing at some level. So anyway, thank you so much for joining me. And next week, actually in 2 weeks, I'll be heading to summer school. So I won't be, unless I do one that weekend before, which is possible. So either you'll see me before summer school or you'll see me after summer school, which is the week after the 21st, 22nd, 23rd, somewhere in there of August. So anyway, I really appreciate you joining me, and I will see you sometime in August. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.